Welcome to today class of nonlinear vibration. So today class we are going to study about this development of equation motion for continuous systems using extended Hamilton principle, and also I will tell you about these ordering techniques. And in this module, in this lecture we are going to study how to develop the equation motion by using extended Hamilton principle. Also I will use this generalized Galerkin method to develop the temporal equation motion. After deriving the equation motion, we will study how to order this equation using the scaling parameter and bookkeeping parameters. So, in the last class we have studied or we have developed the equation motion of the continuous system using Newton's second law or D'Alembert principle. So, today class we are going to derive the equation motion by using this extended Hamilton principle. So, let us take a simple example of a linear system before going for the nonlinear system. So, we will derive the equation motion for the longitudinal vibration of the beam, and then we will go for the Euler-Bernoulli beam, then we will make that equation motion nonlinear, and we will take several examples to derive the equation motion for nonlinear systems. Then we will see some exercise problems to derive the equation motion. Also we will study it about the ordering technique. So, let us now derive the equation motion for the longitudinal vibration of a beam. So, in case of the longitudinal vibration of a beam, so let us take a beam. For example, this is a cantilever beam. So, in this beam, so we want to find the equation motion of this beam. So, the difference between a continuous system and a discrete system is that in case of the continuous system, so it is a distributed mass system, unlike in case of the discrete system. And in this continuous system or the distributed mass system, we have infinite number of degrees of freedom. So, each point you can consider as a spring and mass system. So, in this infinite degrees of freedom system, you can have infinite number of natural frequencies. So, let us consider a small element. So, this longitudinal vibration of the beam. So, the vibration takes place in the longitudinal direction, that is in this direction, and let us take a small element. So, this small element at a distance x from the fixed end. So, this small element has length dx. So, let rho is the density of this material. So, rho into A into dx is the mass of this small element, and we are considering let u is the displacement at point at this for this element. So, if u is the axial displacement of this element, then the velocity will be du by dt, or I can write it as u dot is the velocity. So, u dot is the velocity and rho a dx is the mass of the small element. So, the kinetic energy. So, using extended Hamilton principle, first we should write all the energy terms. So, let us first write the kinetic energy T equal to, so it will, for the small element it is equal to rho a dx, and so it will be half rho a, then d, okay, so it will be del, as u is a function of both x and t. So, we can write this velocity equal to del u by del t whole square into dx. So, for the small element, the kinetic energy can be written as half rho a del u by del t whole square dx, and for the whole beam one can integrate that thing to find the kinetic energy. So, the kinetic energy of the whole beam in longitudinal vibration can be written as half rho a del u by del t whole square dx. And similarly, one can find the potential energy, that is u. So, the potential energy can be written as, So, it is equal to half integration 0 to L stress into strain into dV. So, dV is the dV is the volume, and so this dV can be written as A into dx if you are taking the uniform cross section, and this stress can be written in terms of the strain by using this Young's modulus, and epsilon can be written, epsilon that is your strain. So, that is will be equal to del u by del x. So, epsilon equal to del u by del x, and the sigma equal to, so sigma, so stress by strain equal to Young's modulus. So, stress sigma can be written as Young's modulus into, so it will be equal to Young's modulus into del u by del x, that is the strain. So, substituting these two in this equation, so I can write this u equal to half integration 0 to L. So, this is equal to E del u by del x into del u by del x, del u by del x into dV. So, for dV one can write this is equal to A into dx. So, the strain energy associated with this longitudinal vibration of the beam can be written as half integration 0 to L E del u by del x into del u by del x into A into dx, or in other word one can write this equation equal to half integration 0 to L E A then del u by del x whole square into dx. Now, considering no force acting on the system, let us first try and find for the free vibration of the system. So, in this case the Lagrangian of the system can be written as T minus u. So, the Lagrangian equal to, so this is expression for T and this is expression for u. So, the Lagrangian can be written in this form. So, T minus u, and one can use the Hamilton principle to derive this equation motion. So, as in this case no force is acting on the system, then so this extended Hamilton principle reduces to that of the Hamilton principle, which is generally applied for a conservative system. So, in this case using this Hamilton principle one can write the Hamilton principle, one can write integration T1 to T2, integration T1 to T2, then del L plus del W N C dt equal to 0. So, in this case as no non-conservative force is acting on the system, so one can write integration T1 to T2 del L dt equal to 0. So, now one can find this del L from the previous expression for this L. So, that will be equal to operating this del operator on 0 to L. So, this is equal to half rho A then del u by del t whole square dx. So, this is for the kinetic energy minus for the potential energy, one can write this is from 0 to L half E A del u by del x whole square dx. So, now this del operator will be acting on this, and this can be written as, so this will be equal to integration 0 to L then half into, in this case it will be multiplied with 2, then rho A del u by del t into, so del u by del t into del of del u by del t into dx minus, similarly it can be half integration 0 to L E A into 2 into del u by del x into del of del u by del x into dx. So, now using this integration t1 to t2 del L dt will gives us integration t1 to t2 integration 0 to L. So, these 2 cancel. So, this becomes rho a del u by del t into del of del u by del t into dx. So, one can write this thing del of del u by del t into dx dt minus. So, these 2 and half cancel, one can write again integration t1 to t2 integration 0 to L E A del u by del x into del of del u by del x into dx into dt. So, now one can simplify this equation. So, to simplify this equation one can write. So, one can use this integration by parts. By using this integration by parts one can write this equation equal to. So, it will be equal to integration. So, now one can write this part rho a u dot. So, one can write this equation in this form integration t1 to t2 integration 0 to L rho a u double dot. By using this integration by parts one can have rho a u double dot plus E a del u by del x whole square into del x dt del. So, one can have del u into del u dx dt equal to or plus, one can have plus or minus sign, one can expand this thing. So, it will be minus half t1 to t2 E a del u by del x into del u 0 to L. So, this will be equal to 0. So, this part is the boundary condition, and as del u is arbitrary. So, this represent the equation motion of the system. So, the equation motion becomes rho a u double dot plus E a del u by del x whole square equal to 0. So, this is the equation motion for the system. So, similarly, one can derive the equation motion for similar other equations, and the advantage of using this Hamilton principle over Lagrange principle or Newton or D'Alembert principle is that. So, in this case, in addition to getting this equation motion, so one can get the boundary conditions also. So, this gives the boundary condition, this E a del u by del x into del u 0 to L. So, that gives the boundary condition. That means, u will be either u will be 0 or del u by del x will be 0 at either x equal to 0 or L. So, in this way one can derive the equation motion for the longitudinal vibration of a beam. So, to be more precise, so one can, so let us derive this term again. So that is integration T1 to T2 in 0 to L half rho A to u dot, then it becomes rho A del u by del t into del of del u by del t dx dt, del u by del t into dx dt. So in this case one can write this term. So this term can be written in this form by changing the integral. So one can write 0 to L T1 to T2. So these two cancel. So this becomes rho A u dot into, so one can, so here we have this del term. So u dot, so one can interchange between this del by del t into del u. So one can write this way into dt and dx. So this equation can be written in this form, rho A u dot, then changing between this del and del by del t. So one can write del by del t of del u dt. Now one can use this integration by part. So to use this integration by parts, so first function remain as it is. So rho A u dot, so you keep the first function as it is. Now integration of the second, so integration of this del by del t of del u, so this becomes del u. So this is from T1 to T2. So one can have this 0 to L outside, and so rho A u dot del u, so this minus, then one can have integration T1 to T2, then this del u into derivative of this first term. So derivative of this first term becomes rho A. So u dot derivative becomes u double dot. So rho A u double dot is this del square u by del t square. So u double dot is nothing but del square u by del t square. So del rho A u double dot into del u. So outside, so we have this dt and dx. So this term, this del u at, so according to our Hamilton principle, this term del u vanishes at these two time, that is T1 and T2. That is why this term becomes 0, and so for this purpose, so one can get this equation. So you will have a minus, so minus term here, T1 to T2, 0 to L rho A u double dot E A del u by del x whole square du del u dx dt minus half T1 to T2 E A del u by del x del u 0 to L. So to derive this term, one can easily find this term. So this term will reduce to minus E A del u by del x whole square del u dx dt minus half T1 to T2 E A del u by del x del u 0 to L. So in this way one can derive the equation motion by using extended Hamilton principle. So while taking the kinetic energy term, so one has to change the integrand. So in this case one can change these things, so from 0 to L and T1 to T2, and then integrate it by parts. So by integrating it by parts, so the first term becomes 0, and this remaining term one can take it in equation motion. So the final equation motion becomes rho A u double dot plus E A del u by del x whole square equal to 0, or one can write this equation in this form. So E u double dot plus E A by rho A del u by del x whole square equal to 0. So here A can be cancelled, or one can write this equation in this form. So u double dot plus c square del u by del x whole square equal to 0. So where c square equal to, so where c square equal to E by rho, or C equal to root over, or one can write C equal to root over E by rho. So, this is the equation for a longitudinal vibration of a beam when we have taken a linear system. So, we have not considered any nonlinearity in this, but the method shows how one can derive the equation motion by using Hamilton principle. Similarly, one can derive the equation motion for a Euler-Bernoulli beam. So, in case of the Euler-Bernoulli beam, so the beam is subjected to pure movement, pure bending moment. So, in this case, as the beam is subjected to pure bending, so one can derive the equation motion for the system by taking the kinetic energy and potential energy of the system. So, the kinetic energy of the system, so if one can consider, so let us consider a system, cantilever beam or any beam one can consider. So, at a distance x, let W is the transverse direction vibration, the displacement in the transverse direction is W. So, if W is the displacement in the transverse direction, which is a function of both x and t, x is at a distance x, that is the space coordinate, and at time t. So, one can find the equation motion by using this extended Hamilton principle or by using the simple Hamilton principle in case where there is no non-conservative force acting on the system. So, here the kinetic energy can be written as half, let m is the mass per unit length, then m into dx is the mass of the small element and into velocity square. So, velocity equal to del w by del t. So, in this case it will be equal to del w by del t, as w is a function of both x and t. So, one can write this kinetic energy for the whole beam as the integration of half m del w by del t whole square dx, where m is the mass per unit length. So, m is the mass per unit length, or it can be equal to the density of the system into A. Density into A will give the mass per unit length. So, mass per unit length into dx, that is the mass of the element, then its velocity equal to del w by dt. So, the kinetic energy equal to half integration 0 to L m del w by del t whole square into dx, and one can find the potential energy similar to the previous case. One can find the potential energy equal to half stress into strain into dV, or one can write this by using this bending moment into d theta. So, it is equal to half integration 0 to L m d theta, and here theta is the slope. So, theta can be written equal to, so theta one can write theta equal to del w by del x. So, as this bending moment one can write, so if one take small deflection, so in that case this bending moment can be written as E I del square w by del x square. By using this formula one can find this thing. So, m by I, so pure bending equation, m by I equal to sigma by y equal to E by r. So, here m will be equal to E I by r. So, 1 by r can be written, that is the curvature, can be written as del square w by del x square. So, one can write this m equal to E I del square w by del x square, and this d theta will be equal to del square w by del x square again. So, one can write this potential energy or the strain energy associated with this vibration of the in the transverse direction equal to half integration 0 to L E I del square w. So, it is del square w by del x square into dx. So, now one can proceed in the similar way and derive the equation motion in this case, which already we have seen as the Euler-Bernoulli beam equation. And if one consider large amplitude displacement, so in that case this m can be written in this form. So, in case of large amplitude, large curvature, so in case of large curvature, so one can or in case of large amplitude vibration. So, one can write large amplitude vibration, one can write this m equal to del square w by del x square plus half del w by del x whole square into del square w by del x square, and d theta can be written in the same way as before, that is equal to del square w by del x square. So, in this case, so one can have this u equal to half E I del square w by del x square whole square, or one can take this del square w by del x square common. So, if one takes common, then it becomes 1 plus half del w by del x whole square into del square w by del x square. So, one additional term one can get in this case. So, that is equal to half del w by del x whole square. So, this term will lead to the nonlinear terms if one derive the equation motion. So, one can find the equation motion by using this formula, that is del L plus del W N C dt equal to 0, where L equal to L is the Lagrangian of the system. So, that is equal to T minus U. So, while deriving this equation, one can take this del q k, where q k is the generalized coordinate. So, here W is the generalized coordinate. So, here one can consider this del W at T 1 will be equal to del W at T 2 equal to 0. So, now this W, that is the transverse direction displacement, which is a function of both space and time, can be written by using the scaling parameter and time modulation and shape function. So, one can write this W equal to R psi x into q t. So, where R is the scaling factor, psi is the shape function and q t is the time modulation. So, by using this equation in kinetic energy, potential energy, and finally in this Hamilton principle, so one can derive the temporal equation of motion by applying the Galerkin principle. So, the Galerkin principle is the use of Galerkin principle has been discussed in the last class. So, one can use that principle to derive the equation motion. So, either one can apply the Galerkin principle, or one can apply this equation, that is W equal to R psi x q t in this u and v t and u, and then apply this Hamilton principle, or after applying this Hamilton principle and getting the differential equation. So, one can apply this equation there to find the temporal equation. So, both the method will yield the same equation. So, in this case one can take only single mode, but instead of taking a single mode, one can consider multimode analysis. So, here one can take psi I or R I into psi I x and q I t, where psi I x is the shape function of the ith mode. So, already we are familiar with the continuous system, linear continuous system, in which we know that it has infinite number of modes. So, by taking different modes, one can find or one can write the transverse displacement equal to R I into psi I x into q I t, where I equal to 1 to infinity. But in actual case, as the higher modes will not be effective for the or not be useful for our study, so one can limit this number of modes to few lower terms. So, it can be written as I equal to 1 to n. So, R I psi I x into q I t. These psi terms can be obtained. So, the psi terms can be a admissible function or it can be the eigenfunction of the system. So, when one can consider eigenfunction, then the resulting equation can be reduced to a simpler form, but if one consider the admissible function which are not the eigenfunction, so then modal interactions will be there in the equation motion. So, for example, one can consider the psi I for a simple, okay, so for a simply supported beam, for example, for a simply supported beam. So, for a simply supported beam, so one can first write the general solution for the Euler-Bernoulli beam. So, one can write psi x equal to C1 cos beta x plus C2 sin beta x plus C3 cos hyperbolic beta x plus C4 sin hyperbolic beta x, and now apply the boundary conditions to get psi x. So, here one can get this characteristic constant beta also from the frequency equation, and applying this boundary condition one can find psi x. So, that will give the eigenfunction. The eigenfunction satisfy both the differential equation. So, eigenfunction satisfy both the differential equation motion and all the boundary conditions, and one can have another set of functions also. So, that is comparative function. So, that comparative function satisfy the differential equation and also the geometric boundary conditions. So, eigenfunction satisfy both differential equation and all boundary condition. This comparative function satisfy only the boundary conditions. So, it has not satisfy the governing equation, and another set of functions also one can use, that is admissible function. So, this admissible function satisfy only the geometric boundary condition of the system. So, one can use admissible function. So, in case of admissible function, it satisfy only geometric boundary condition. So, in case of comparative function, it satisfy all boundary conditions, and in case of eigenfunction, it satisfy both differential equation plus all boundary conditions. So, if one takes this eigenfunction of the system which is satisfying the differential equation motion and all the boundary conditions, so one can get orthogonal functions, and these orthogonal functions one can use to reduce this multi-degree of or this continuous system into a set of multi-degree of freedom systems. So, if one use this eigenfunction, then most probably one can get an equation which are decoupled, but if one use this admissible function where it satisfy only the geometric boundary conditions, so sometimes one may get the coupled equation motion. So, now for let us consider different cases. So, how one can find the or what are the boundary conditions associated with this. So, in this case we have just discussed about two cases. So, in one case, if one take the potential energy in this form, that is half integration 0 to L E I del square W by del x square whole square. So, one can get the linear Euler-Bernoulli beam equation, but if one can take the strain energy in this term by considering this additional term, so one can obtain the nonlinear equation motion. So, with examples we can study about this system after a few minutes. So, let us now discuss about some of the linear boundary conditions or some of the boundary condition in this transverse vibration of the beam. So, for example, in case of a in case of this simply supported beam, so the boundary conditions are, so in this at x equal to 0 and x equal to L, boundary conditions are the both displacement and slope equal to 0. So, both displacement and slope equal to 0 here. And in case of a no, so in case of the simply supported beam, so here slope is not equal to 0. One can see that slope is not equal to 0, displacement equal to 0 at this end, displacement equal to 0 at this end, but slope is not 0. In case of a fixed beam, one can find both displacement and slopes are 0. So, here up to this one can see the displacement is 0, that means slope is 0. Here also both displacements and slope are equal to 0. So, in case of the simply supported beam, so displacement at this end is 0, displacement at other end is also 0. So, along with that one can have the bending moment equal to 0. So, both bending moment and displacements are 0 at both the end. So, this displacement is the geometric boundary condition and bending moment is the natural boundary condition or the force boundary condition. So, if one can find the one can take one admissible function, so then it will satisfy only the displacement is 0 at both the ends. One may not take a function which will satisfy this bending moment equal to 0 at both the ends. Similarly, here for the clamped beam, for this fixed beam, so one can have both displacement equal to 0 and so both displacement and slope are 0 in this case. So, in this case displacement and bending moment are 0. So, if we are writing displacement equal to W, so this bending moment equal to EI del square W by del x square. As we have written W equal to R psi x into QT, so it can be reduced to EI R del, or by removing this del, so one can write this d square psi by dx square into QT. So, as this E, I, R and this Q is a function of t, time modulation. So, for a particular at a particular distance one can take this constant. So, one can have this del square, or at this for all times as this bending moment will be equal to 0. So, one can write this E I R d square psi by dx square into Qt equal to 0. So, for all time as Qt will not be equal to 0. So, this reduces, that this becomes d square psi by dx square equal to 0. That means, in case of the simply supported beam, so one can take this W, that means this is equal to R psi x into Qt equal to 0. So, for all time as Qt will not be equal to 0, R also will not be equal to 0. So, in this case psi x will be 0 and d square psi by dx square also will be 0. So, for simply supported beam, so one can write psi x at x equal to 0 and L. So, this will be equal to 0. Similarly, d square psi by dx square at x equal to 0 and L will be equal to 0. So, this is for the simply supported beam, and in case of the fixed beam, so one can have both displacement and slope equal to 0. So, in that case one can show that psi x at 0 L equal to 0. Similarly, d psi by dx, so which correspond to the slope. So, at x equal to L will be equal to 0. So, in a similar way one can find the boundary condition for a cantilever beam. The left end is similar to that of this fixed beam. That means, so here psi x or psi 0 equal to 0, psi x at x equal to 0. So, in this case one can write this way, at x equal to 0 equal to 0. Also, this slope will be equal to 0. This means d psi by dx at x equal to 0 equal to 0, but at the free end one can have both bending moment and shear force equal to 0. Already we have seen that this bending moment is proportional to d square psi by dx square. So, one can write d square psi by dx square equal to 0 and shear force proportional to dq psi by dxq equal to 0. So, in this way one can find all the boundary conditions. So, let us see some more complicated boundary condition. So, let us take one beam, let at this end one have a mass, also let us have mass at both the end, and this is also supported by some spring and damper. So, if it is supported by some spring and damper, so then one can write, let this is K and this is C, this is stiffness and this is damping, and for this beam let this is mass M. Then at this end, so or one can write, so the shear force will be equal to the inertia force plus the damping force and plus the stiffness force. So, one can write this del by del x of E I del square W by del x square. So, this is the shear force, that is rate of change of this bending moment equal to shear force. So, this will be equal to A K W plus C del W by del x del W by del T plus M del square W by del T square. So, here A equal to minus 1 for left end and equal to plus 1 for the right end. So, if one take the free body diagram of this side, so one can show that the shear force will be equal to the inertia force. So, which is equal to M del square W by del T square, then plus the damping force, that is C into del W by dt, and plus the spring force, that is K W. So, if one take this right side, so then the shear force will be positive. If one take to the left side, the shear force will be negative. Also, in addition to this, the bending moment will be equal to 0. So, one can write this E I del square W by del x square equal to 0. So, instead of taking this linear spring and damper, so one can take the torsional spring and damper also. So, by taking a torsional spring and damper, so in this case one can have, let us take a rotary mass also, a mass with moment of inertia I, and let us take a torsional spring and torsional damper. So, in case of this torsional spring, let us, this is a torsional spring and let us take a damper this way. Similarly, this side also one can take a spring and damper and let I the moment of inertia, then so this is the damping element, and one can have a spring element also, torsional spring element. So, in this case, this torsional spring element KT and damping element, let us take CT. So, in this case, the shear force will be equal to 0, that means del by del x of del square W by del x square will be equal to 0, but this bending moment will be equal to E I del square W by del x square will be equal to A into kt into del w by del x plus ct into del square w by del x del t plus I0 into del q w by del x del t square. It may be noted that this del w by del x is the slope, that is theta. So, one can have this equal to I0 into del square theta by del t square, that is the inertia due to this torsional mass, that is I theta dot square, then this is due to damping and this is due to stiffness. So, here A will be equal to -1 for left end and it will be equal to +1 for right end. So, one can similarly derive the equation motion or temporal equation motion of the system by taking a shape function which depends on the boundary conditions. So, for different boundary conditions, by using these expressions, so one can derive the shape function, and after using those shape functions one can reduce the governing equation to that of a temporal form. So, in all these cases till now we have considered the cross section of the beam to be uniform. So, instead of taking a uniform cross section, one can take also non-uniform cross section. In that case, let us take one non-uniform cross section. So, for a cantilever beam, so we can, let us consider this system. So, one can write the boundary condition for this, but while writing the equation motion, so if one consider the mass to be of a homogeneous material, then only one can consider the variation in the I term. So, while deriving this equation, so this I term will be different and it can be. So, while doing the integration, one can take this I as a function of x. Similarly, in case of one can consider a cantilever beam with, let us consider one more example. So, here also one can derive the equation motion of the system this way. So, here up to this one can use I1 and after that one can use I2 and use appropriate boundary condition to derive the equation motion. So, if let us consider a case when some force is acting on the system. So, a beam subjected to a axial force P. So, in that case, so one can find the work done due to this axial force in this transverse direction in this way. So, half 0 to L P into del q x, that is del w by del x whole square into dx, and then one can use this extended Hamilton principle by taking this non-conservative force into account and find the equation motion. So, let us consider one more example which was published in International Journal of Nonlinear Mechanics by Pratihar and Dwivedi. So, here a roller supported beam is considered. So, in this case we have to find the equation motion. So, now considering a small section, one can write the potential energy, strain energy of the system, and in addition to that, so it is subjected to a vertical force in vertical direction. So, one can find this non-conservative work done also in this way. So, after using all these and using these inextensibility condition. So, in inextensibility condition, this is the condition for inextensibility, one can find this and then one can find the governing equation in spatio-temporal form in this way. So, after getting the equation motion in spatio-temporal form, so now by substituting this shape function, so one can find the temporal equation motion. So, in this case one has used this time modulation ut, Vy is the shape function. So, this is the shape function of a cantilever beam with tip mass. So, as a tip mass is there, so one can consider the shape function of a cantilever beam with tip mass, and this expression gives the frequency equation for beta L. So, one can find this temporal equation in this way. So, after finding this temporal equation, where one can see the coefficients can be written in this form. For example, so in this case one has the linear term u double dot. So, this is the linear term, this is another linear term, but all these terms are nonlinear terms. So, the coefficient of the nonlinear terms can be obtained from these expressions. So, where one expression where one can find the coefficient alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3 by integrating these terms. So, these integrations are function of the shape functions. So, by using this integration, so one can find the coefficients. So, after finding the coefficient, one can use this ordering technique to order the nonlinear equation motion. So, next class we are going to study about how to order the equation motion for some systems. So, also we will see some more different systems where some magnetic field is applied, and you can take some exercise problems also. So, where you can you can derive the equation motion for a sandwich beam. So, in the sandwich beam 3, so this is the core element, both are skin and this is the core. So, in this core one can use this viscoelastic or elastic material. Also one can use this magnetorheological elastomer also. So, by taking different property and taking this force, so one can derive the equation motion. So, one can take this as one exercise problem, and some other exercise problem also you can take to derive the equation motion. So, already we have seen this example. So, also one can derive the equation motion for the sandwich beam. When this magnetic field is applied, one can find the equation motion by using the force due to magnetic field. Also one can derive the equation motion for a cantilever beam by taking a piezoelectric layer in a similar way. So, also one can take a micro beam. Also one can take a functionally graded material supported by nonlinear springs, or by taking a linear or nonlinear vibration observer and with different boundary conditions. So, taking these exercise problems, one can derive the equation motion for the continuous systems, and after getting the equation motion by using the shape functions, one can derive the temporal equation. So, after deriving the temporal equation, one can use this ordering technique, to find the temporal equation motion. So, next class we are going to study about the ordering technique for commonly used nonlinear equation motion like Duffing equation, Van der Pol equation, Matthew equation, and or Matthew Hill type of equations. Thank you.